Morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of, I guess, Trading Bitcoin with your host, Tone Base, coming to you live from Transylvania in Romania. I'm in Cluj, Romania, which is the region known as Transylvania. I am here for a conference, just had some good speakers. There was a great panel with Adam Back and Giacomo Zucco, moderated by Crypto Raptor. And I'm going to try and get Adam over here for an interview. Giacomo's getting a bite to eat. He's up next after this lunch break, and we'll get him as well. So before those guys come over, we will go ahead and go to screen share, and maybe I can cover price first. I still have to read this article. Hi, guys. I am live. You want to say a few words about the conference? Yeah. Okay. All right, let me stop screen share. Hi.
Hi.
Attach this somewhere.
Yeah,
there you go.
Thank you.
Perfect. So tell us about the event. How's it going? How was it to set up? Why Transylvania?
Why not? I mean,
Perfect.
why not? Like, everything's going according to schedule. I had, let's just say, less expectations, and then they rose above
That's
them.
perfect.
Yeah. So everyone came and everyone's here, and yeah, they've been good talks and good subjects. So I'm happy.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the invite. Having a great time
Thank you so
here in
much
Romania.
for
I'm
coming.
gonna try and get some interviews. I see Adam back walking this way, and we'll grab some of the key speakers.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
Thanks.
Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot.
All right, we got Adam coming. Oh, I totally scammed you guys on talking about the price. Have a seat, Adam.
Yeah.
Boom. Oh yeah, you were. I'm not wearing like I'm a. We have the same sweatshirt, though I don't actually work there. Contrary to rumors on the internet. So Adam, so how are you? How's everything going?
Good. It's a good conference here in Romania. First time in Romania for me.
You travel a lot to a lot of conferences. I don't know how you do that and be the CEO of Blockstream with all the stuff you guys going on.
I resolved last year to go to less conferences. It's holden than previous, but I like the weekend conferences like this because I feel like I'm losing less work days, and it's good to support kind of small local conferences with Bitcoiners.
Awesome. And we're going to be doing our conference again in Malta, Understanding Bitcoin. That's going to happen at the end of May. We will, announce the dates officially and open registration eventually. We still haven't even opened Unconfiscatable registration. So tell us what's new in Blockstream land. We heard about the news broke that you guys are going to open a mining facility.
Yeah, well, I mean, actually, we've been mining and stuff for a couple of years. There were only a couple of leaks that somehow didn't get mainstream pickup. So the first leak was somebody found a shipping invoice that they got hold of somehow and posted a scan off on Reddit for, I don't know, like $5 million worth of miners somewhere or something. And it didn't get much uptake, so that kind of faded. And we were intending to announce, but we had to bring forward like this year, but we had to bring it forward by about a month because basically a local newspaper in the area where our second mine is in the US published about it. It's obviously a big project, local town, it's employing people, it's not a secret locally, it just hadn't reached the mainstream news. So I got into local news and we figured, okay, it's time to publish this thing because it could leak upwards to mainstream news and the cryptocurrency news at any time. So that's when we started talking about it. But yeah, we've actually been mining in Montreal and in other locations in Canada as well for a couple of years now.
All right, very cool. Yeah, I don't know how much you can say publicly, but the big question is, since you guys are mining, what is the break-even price of a Bitcoin for a mining operation? And you guys have operations in, can you name the countries?
Yeah, well, in the announcement, we mentioned 2 sites, so we do have a couple other small operations, but one is in Montreal, Canada, and the other one is in Georgia, USA, the state of Georgia.
Yeah. The state, right. This is why I say the Republic of Georgia, which has just came from, because when you said Georgia, I kind of assumed, oh, Georgia, the country, so much mining going on there with BitFury, but especially the state of Georgia in the US. Can you mention, is there a big, I don't know if you can say the break-even price, but is there a difference between the break-even price of the mine in Canada versus the one in Georgia? If you can't name what the break-even price is, at least to roughly, are they similar or is there a difference? And it's all about the electricity price, of course.
I mean, it actually gets more complicated. So it's maybe starts to get into total cost of ownership because, I mean, obviously electricity is the biggest input cost, but there are other input costs like
there's
lease costs, government regulation, overhead,
human labor
costs, and so forth. So I would
you
say,
just send Samson there to just like do everything.
So we have a whole team working on mining and optimizing. So our setup has become more automated and optimized. So cost of operations are going down, cost of equipment's going down, get more economies of scale. So as Georgia is our newer facility, and we obviously picked lower total cost of ownership over time, that has actually got a lower cost of Bitcoin production. But there's also quite a bit of variance because we're running equipment from many different suppliers. There's a fair difference in the electrical efficiency of new equipment versus old equipment. But I would say that none of our, so we do some self-mining and some hosting, and that's the hosting is the expansion area. So I would say that none of our miners, all of our miners incrementally made money each day on top of their hosting charge all through the 2018 Bitcoin winter. So, their profitability went from high to low to higher, so it's very volatile for the miners.
So for every single month in 2018, you guys were profitable?
Yeah, we're profitable on our combined mining operation. So what I'm saying is that for the mining investor who's going to invest in buying some miners, sign a hosting contract, they've made their upfront capital investment. But after they've made that investment, they're kind of in a sunk cost territory. So as long as their net value at today's market price of the Bitcoins they're mining are worth more than their hosting fees, they're going to keep mining because it's going to reduce their capital loss, right? So all the way through 2018, there was no point at which they were saying like, oh, our hosting bill is more than the value of the Bitcoins we're mining. So that's to say, they were making an incremental profit. And at some point, depending on the Bitcoin price or how long they've been mining, they'll become net profitable on top of their capital investment. And there's some counterintuitive effects because when the Bitcoin price goes down, the hash rate tends to fall as the less efficient operators switch off or go bankrupt or leave the market.
Of course.
And so if you are mining with a long-term view, it's actually great because you get more Bitcoins because you now have a bigger percentage of the hash rate. So we certainly benefited from that ourselves, and I think some of our customers did. So I think some of our customers were mining to keep the Bitcoins, not mining to sell them. So they were using other revenue streams or other sources of income to pay their hosting bills and not selling Bitcoin to do it.
Yeah, no, and this was one of the arguments that Jimmy Song and I argued over this. And this is where I was saying, basically, your personal profitability goes up with basically less competition. I forgot the argument. This was like a year or 2 years ago, where I said, hey, if I'm the last guy mining, yes, it will probably take me a year to mine the next block. But I know for a fact that every single Bitcoin mined that block is going to be mine.
Right.
And if you can hold through that, that becomes a very profitable thing. And I forgot what that argument was. And he was saying, well, no, it's not because you're going to spend so much electricity mining that block and it takes longer.
He might be talking about there was some kind of failed death spiral conspiracy theories that arose several times, right? That, there's some kind of elaborate argument. That
I do want to talk about that because the death spiral conspiracy theory is actually not a conspiracy theory. It's a fact when it comes to other proof of work blockchains, which is what I've been saying about Litecoin for over a year now, saying that after this latest halving, and if I'm wrong, certainly after the next halving, that if Litecoin doesn't double in price between the halvings, they're done. No one will ever mine it. No one will ever do R&D. And they'll just go into a mining death spiral because no one needs to mine Litecoin altruistically because no one depends on Litecoin for their business or savings, or it's just not needed?
Yeah, I mean, there is some interesting, somewhat open questions for the far future where there's not much Bitcoin reward left, and yet there's an enormous amount of wealth stored and transactional value. My view is that, you know, there are other forms of money which have far less security assurances than Bitcoin, and they function fine, right? Which is to say, ultimately, money works because society needs it to work, and they'll find ways to secure it. And the way they might secure it is, for example, like Blockstream is doing some mining. Other companies could do some mining. If a few hundred companies put some portion of their input costs of their business operation into mining, it would be pretty centralized and work.
That's actually been my argument since, I think, 2015, when I first brought it up, going into the last halving, not even this halving. I was making that argument saying that we pay an electricity, we pay an internet bill.
Yep.
And we don't get paid for having an internet bill. We pay the internet bill because having internet gives us more productivity and more value than not paying it.
Yeah.
So it'll come to a point where paying a mining bill would bring you more value than not paying the bill. So you will mine at a loss if Bitcoin is so important to your business and to your life.
Yeah, I mean, I think where people get hung up is the freeloader risk that, you know, so let's say there's a couple of payment processors and exchanges, and the exchange and the one payment processor are doing some mining, and the third payment processor is a freeloader. They don't do any mining, but they still benefit from the security. So that's what hangs people up. But, you know, ultimately, by mining, they can get some small advantage. They can advertise that they're mining to their customers, so they can say, we're not freeloaders, our competitors are. Who do you want to depend on if something goes wrong? They can prioritize their own transactions so they can provide better service. And ultimately, there are some analogies with the internet expanding on what you said.
Right, we have that as well, because like you don't have to pay an internet bill. There is enough free Wi-Fi around for you to do everything on Wi-Fi without ever paying a bill.
Right, and even upstream, so, you know, you or I are paying internet bills, or companies are paying internet bills, but up in the ISP space, they have peering arrangements where your packets go to one ISP that has to relay them through another ISP. And so sometimes there are just quid pro quos where they'll route each other's traffic or pay each other for the excess. But, you know, the money they're paying for the excess, like, they work it out because they need the internet to work because they're selling services to customers. So it's really quite analogous, actually.
Yeah. All right, so let's change gears a little bit from mining over to, so I was always, actually, no, we gotta almost stay with mining. This concept of merge mining is becoming very popular. So what I've been saying is all of these other coins that are proof of work coins, they have two choices in the future. They can either go proof of stake because their mining structure will not survive, or they would have to merge mine with Bitcoin. And I had a conversation with Peter Todd, and I will link to it. It was on the World Crypto Network yesterday. I'm waiting for like timestamps because it was a long video, and I'll send that out. And Peter Todd had very interesting things to say about merge mining, where I learned that in a way it is an attack on Bitcoin, and I can elaborate from our conversation, but I wanted to get your thoughts on merge mining, or maybe explain to my viewers what it is and then your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the probably first thing that was merge mined was Namecoin.
And that's because their proof of stake failed.
Well, I'm not sure of the full history of Namecoin, but it was, I mean, it's an altcoin that had a story about decentralized domain names. I don't think it ever got any real use, but it had a small value, so people would merge mine it for a small bump in profit and immediately sell it. And it just means that people are going to take the block header from the sidechain, or sorry, not from sidechain, from the altcoin, and link to it somewhere in the Bitcoin chain. And the same could be done for sidechains, is the concept. So, you know, in a sense, it doesn't hurt because it provides a kind of timestamping assurance if you make it a rule of your sidechain or other coin that the block shouldn't go backwards in Bitcoin. Now you inherit some of Bitcoin's cost of reversal. but you don't necessarily get security as such from doing it. You're still relying on the honesty of the miners because they have nothing at stake in the sense of no commitment to your coin. So they could honestly mine Bitcoin and calmly reorganize your coin at very little incremental cost.
Oh, so you're saying that that's that's a horrible security model for the merged mined coin.
You've got, I mean, like if you're doing a GPU mineable thing, you're of course exposed because if you're a small altcoin, somebody can just come in and wipe you out, and it will take ages to to adjust difficulty.
No, but that's happening already, right? This is why every single coin that could get 51% attacked will get 51% attacked. So in my view, every single coin that relies on mining will get 51% attacked except Bitcoin,
right.
And game theory comes into play on that one. And mostly because 51% attacking any other coin but Bitcoin allows you to profit from that attack in the form of Bitcoin. 51% attacking Bitcoin kind of kills everything.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a much bigger investment. So, the people who've bought Bitcoin miners, they're
right. I mean, that's obviously that the cost element.
Right. I mean, I think the thing is, if you're worried about your coin being wiped out, changing to merge mining with SHA-256 like Bitcoin, which a couple of coins have done, right? They've gone from something else to that. Is you've just changed from being wiped out by one set of users to another. Because Bitcoin miners could, or even like one moderate-sized pool could like completely decimate some of these coins. So you're really relying on their honesty. So maybe it's just the scale of it. There are bigger companies, more credible companies who wouldn't, your sort of gambling wouldn't do that, but that's just a gamble, right? So maybe there's a little bit less anonymity, perversely. But yeah, you're exposed. I think the proof of work generally only works if there is one proof of work per coin and it's ASICed, so that people can't switch around. It's the switching around that kills you. If somebody goes from a big coin to a small coin, they can jack it around. If it's GPU mineable, all of the GPU miners can jump on it, or a small portion of them even, and wipe you out. So having the biggest coin is one defense. Having a proof of work that's only used on your coin or mostly used on your coin is another defense. And of course, Bitcoin is basically the only show in town for this whole story.
Yeah, and so that's an interesting angle, that your merged coin is at risk from a miner. So Peter Todd, when Peter Todd and I discussed this yesterday, it was the opposite view, is that, hey, if you're a big mining operation and you have tied your wagon to a merged mined coin, and this is where it came up because of Bitfury. I saw a presentation by Alex Petrov, and he had Emmercoin on there as one of their supporting projects. And I'm like, well, I remember Emmercoin. It was pretty much a scam to me as an altcoin, but now they're merge mining with Bitcoin. That wasn't the original spec as far as I remember. But if Bitfury is the one major miner of the coin, they're basically 90% in control of all that mining, and that's their interest. And the reason what Peter Todd gave, which I found really, really interesting and it immediately resonated, is, hey, if a miner is also merge mining another coin exclusively, and stupid people believe in the value of that coin, they then sell that Bitcoin to earn more money, and now they have a competitive advantage by printing additional money.
So sell the coin they're merge mining for more
Correct.
Bitcoin? Yeah. Right. Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure what Emmercoin. I don't know the details.
Well, that's not the point.
Yeah.
The point is, if there is, let's say F2 Pool decides to create an altcoin that they're merge mining, and people believe in it, and they get to sell it and create more money, they can then have more resources than other miners.
I mean, there were some people who didn't like excessive merge mining because it effectively bloats up the amount of data, because if you get an incremental profit from merge mining a bunch of coins and selling them for more Bitcoin, and the margins get thin, you also have to do that. And that makes the amount of data you have to receive to mine bigger. And so it's a form of imported decentralization into Bitcoin. It's kind of like making a big Bitcoin block with useless to you data that you're obliged to receive. Now, a counter argument could be, well, if you don't care about the security of this chain, you can just pool mine on it and collect the money. But ultimately, if the pools and everything gets too centralized in those coins, the pools could choose not to give you the the ability to merge mine it, right?
Yeah, no, that's true. All right, I want to get Giacomo in here. Adam, you can stick around unless you're hungry and want to go get food.
I could do another coffee.
Okay, let's go get coffee. Come on back and we'll get your thoughts as well, because there's so much more I can talk to you about, including lightning and liquid. And I forgot to ask the question. It will be a quick word answer. I think about a year ago, I asked you a question that basically said, have you seen anything in the altcoin space that you would consider adding into Bitcoin? And you thought about it for a second and the answer was no. Has that changed?
Not really.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, Giacomo.
Hey.
How you doing?
Fine, fine. Beautiful conference, beautiful place.
So Adam Back and I got a chance to talk about, we talked about mining, because now they're going to be hopefully a big player in the mining space. And we talked about merge mining. So now it's time to get our Lightning and Liquid updates. Are you following up with the latest in those?
Well, I think that most of the updates about Lightning will come next week, actually, after the Berlin Lightning conference.
Are you going to that?
I'm going there,
Okay.
and I think most people is holding back updates and revelation and news because they will use that venue to say a lot of stuff. Lightning is facing a lot of challenges, mostly about implementation compatibility. The point is that there is a good part of Lightning, which is that Lightning, being a higher layer on Bitcoin, can be changed in a more aggressive, fast, experimental way, which is great because it allows for experimentation, but also has a drawback, which is now people is creating a lot of different stuff, a lot of incompatible stuff. So, for example, yesterday there was some drama about Nicolas Dorier rage quitting LND because of LND making some backward incompatibility choice. A lot of people is seeing some problems in the ball specification. This is a very interesting point. Bitcoin was not created with a formal specification. It was created with code directly. So as Peter Todd always says, Bitcoin doesn't have a specification. You just have the code and you have a attempt to re-implement the code. In Lightning, the choice was to create a formal specification and then to implement different kind of code supporting the specification, which created some problems. For example, the bolts were under specified in some points, which created a huge security bug that was discovered and fixed a few weeks ago, but that was serious potentially. So Lightning is going great. I would say it's going 3 orders of magnitude better than any shitcoin projects, but still we don't have to overblow the level or to underestimate the challenges that we are facing. There are huge compatibility challenges. There are liquidity challenges. There are a lot of things to make better. And liquid is a different kind of best. I mean, I think Adam already told you something about that, but it's more that's where it's more a focused effort to serve some specific market, which is inter-exchange liquidity, and that's in a way more ready, more production ready than the Lightning itself.
Sorry, I can't help it. You said other shitcoin projects, and I had to wait. Have you seen these videos from the latest Ethereum
Yeah.
DevCon? And like the fascinating thing is, and I'm sure you heard Joe Lubin sitting there talking about how he knew Ethereum wasn't scalable, but they were going to launch it anyway, and Vitalik is nodding. How in the world are there 4,000 people there, and they say most of them are developers? And I remember one of your amazing tweet storms where someone said, there's no way all of these people programming and working on Ethereum are scammers. And your reply was, no, most of them are just stupid.
Yeah, that was the beginning of Chris. But yeah, that was probably that was most about Bcash, but it's the same applies. So 5,000 people. Well, you had more than 5,000 people at the OneCoin convention in Thailand, I think, which was very similar as for aesthetic.
Well, that's why I wrote BitConnect.
Yeah, BitConnect. It was the same. The BitConnect. Well, actually, I think that the closest thing to this was actually OneCoin. They had the same kind of drums, the same kind of lights. Basically, you create just this emotion-based environment in which critical sense and skepticism are kept low because everything is about show, is about feelings, is about emotions, and you stick some science fiction in that. And I mean, they are developers, but the problem is that most people working on graphics and interface right now never underestimate the power of stupid people in large groups. Yeah, yeah, that's the point. I don't think that most of those people are scammers themselves. They are just trapped in a sunk cost fallacy. Basically, they started to waste time and effort and reputation into something that cannot work, and now they also hear the creator and the launcher tell them that they always knew all along that it was not going to scale, it was not going to work. Of course, they say that they say the other way around during the first years. You can find easily Vitalik sentences or Lubin sentences saying that Ethereum was more scalable than Bitcoin, and now suddenly they know it was never scalable all along. It's it's just the point is that they are developers, but everybody which has to do web graphics is a developer. In a world where everything is somehow digitalized, any kind of artistic or front end work requires some kind of development skills. So people there is probably mostly JavaScript designers, which is great, but it has nothing to do with experience in computer security, information security, or cryptography, applied cryptography, distributed systems, or even worse, the economic theory and monetary theory.
All right, so a quick update on Liquid and what's going on there, and then I'll try and get Bitcoin analog over here.
Yeah. So, well, Liquid, it's already working among a few exchanges. The main function is to provide arbitrage liquidity in Bitcoin using LBTC. But there is a side function for normal user, which is to basically issue tokens, just like people is doing on scam coins or legacy Bitcoin protocols like Omni. I think the most interesting of these tokens so far is Tether, because Tether dollar allows. Tether is an interesting project for me because it's very risky. I think it's very fragile, but as long as it can resist, it allows for a bypass of many KYC and AML requirements. It's a way to enter Bitcoin liquidity around this kind of easily regulatable stuff. So now they have Tether on Liquid working, I think, and Christian Decker just released Lightning version for Liquid for Tether tokens. So it should be fun to see.
Yeah, so here's what's killing me, right? So finally, I have a blockchain that I feel comfortable with releasing the Tone Vase ICO token, but now the SEC is all over this shit, so it's too late. So I missed my chance, right? So I was always against it in a way, one, because of the SEC, but two, I would never launch anything on Ethereum. That's just insane. So now there is actually a stable blockchain where your token could be good, but now the SEC is all over us.
Well, all over us, except that they say that Ether itself, one of the first scammy ICOs in the space, is actually a commodity. So I think that if your lawyer is good enough, you can use the precedent of the Ethereum scammy ICO being, for some reason,
that must kill you as well, and you hate the regulators.
Yeah, it doesn't. If I have to choose between the regulator and scammers, I choose scammers. No doubt. I hate the regulators more than scammers. So I am happy that the SEC is not getting after Ethereum. But what I'm unhappy is that created a wrong message that you can create anything super centralized and everything will go fine. It will not go like that, because if you are the first scammer trying that kind of strategy, you may be lucky. But if you're just smaller with less money for lawyers, you will get caught.
Here, go back to Ethereum for a second. Here's a question I just don't understand. How in the world are they going to migrate from Ethereum 1.0 to 2.0?
So my
like how do people even think about it? It's kind of like, oh yeah, we'll just build this on the moon. It's not a big deal at all.
The typical Ethereum strategy. So how do you migrate to proof of stake, which doesn't even work? You say you will, so you get a lot of attention because you are announcing that you will, but then you postpone the.
Well, I said that from 2015. I'm like, once you start proof of work, you're not going to be able to migrate to proof of stake unless your proof of work has died.
Yeah, exactly.
It's Anyway, it's insane. All right, let me get Bitcoin analog. You have your presentation coming up next, right? Yeah. So Giacomo's up next. Hey guys, check out the live stream. Go to my Twitter. You can see the live stream from the conference. Let's get Giacomo over here. I can never pronounce your name.
Right.
Hey man.
How's it going?
Good. Let's attach that. How you been?
Not bad, not bad.
Nice. So finally in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, yeah.
So give us a little update, man. What's going on? I mean, you became very famous after the Roger Ver incident. Have you guys talked since?
No. Well, there was that little incident where I was trolling him to fight me for Bitcoin.com.
Oh, I saw that.
I had Peter McCormick ask him about it, and he seemed like he was interested. And then when I actually tried to message him about it, he never replied.
What kind of, was it gonna be a boxing? Was it gonna be MMA?
I don't know. I mean,
what was
obviously,
it gonna,
like he's
he's good at I think jiu-jitsu or taekwondo, I forget.
Well, I kind of looked at it this way, like
gotta even the playing field, man. You gotta go in the boxing ring.
Well, I look at it this way, like if he does martial arts and I do not do anything like this. So I either looked at it as if he was really serious, I'll train for 2 years if I have to actually get the chance. Or maybe there would be a way that we could make this more fun and less, violent, for everybody, and find some creative way to do some kind of match. Like I was thinking it would be fun if we did like a Magic the Gathering, match or something, since that has had some Bitcoin history. But we never had the conversation, so nothing happened.
Yeah, what do you think is going on? I mean, like, I really think that everything is devolving over there. I think it's getting really, really bad. And like, how long do you think he can keep this up? Because like, no one cares anymore. Like, their chain is worth 2.5% of the value of a Bitcoin. And I mean, you do some trading, you kind of have an idea of charts. That thing is done.
I mean, I haven't looked at charts. Honestly, I don't pay too much attention to it anymore. And I think that's a pretty good sign that, like, even though I was like a big antagonist in that whole thing, even I don't know what's going on with Decash.
Well, right. Well, that's kind of me in the Bitcoin SV. Like, I haven't paid attention to what the hell is going on over there in like 6 months. But once again, for no reason whatsoever, I'm going to be on stage with Roger for the God knows what time in 2 days in London. And Nouriel Roubini is going to be on that stage as well. So it's going to be,
I remember when I used to interact with him a lot, one of the common things Bitcoiners would like get triggered about would be like, we're giving these guys, more amplification by debating them and stuff. I don't think that was a result of my debate with him, but I think at this point, it might be true. Like, I think really interacting with them at this point mostly just serves to help them.
I know, but here's the thing, like he's on stage debating Nouriel Roubini. Well, like, whose side do you take on this one?
I don't know whose side do you take in a clown show.
Right.
Like, I would just assume watch it on TV
like,
or do it all together.
I'm giving it away, but I am on that stage. I'm giving it away to my own viewers. I didn't say trading Bitcoin, so we have like a third of the viewers, because the only thing people care about is the price of Bitcoin. So here's what I know I'm not going to get much talking in, because Brock is on that stage as well, and so it's a big panel, and so is Bobby Lee. So I just want to sit there and I want to see Roger and Nouriel go at it, and I just want to say the following as loud as possible. I would like to point out that as a geologist, I am listening to a debate between a creationist and a flat earther.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know. I mean, if you want to try to get any kind of message, make some kind of good out of that, I don't really know. Maybe research what their latest party lines are and have a good refutation for some things they're going to say. But I don't know. I don't understand why people are putting Roger Ver on stage anymore at all.
Because, I don't know, he gets the views, or maybe he pays them. All right, let's talk about BitRefill for a minute, because people are coming back.
Yeah.
Oh, Dominic Frizzy, maybe I'll grab him as well if I have a minute. But tell us what's going on with BitRefill. You guys are still pushing the reckless hashtag. I think Stacking Sats has surpassed you guys, but that probably was the number one hashtag in Bitcoin for a little while.
Yeah, we didn't generate the Stacking Sats thing, but I definitely appreciate why that's become popular. It's got a good message behind it, especially about saving Bitcoin. But with BitRefill, I've been a lot less active on Twitter and stuff lately on my personal account.
I gotta be less active on Twitter. It's such a
Well, when you've been in a kind of sideways market for a long time, I think it's just all the same people saying the same things for months and months and months, and then they start getting bored, so they start getting more, like, for lack of a better term, perverse about their conversations, and they just become like awkward.
And there's so many
boring.
people on Twitter that are just like anonymous Twitter handles,
Yeah.
and they have large followings now, and like you're not that, you can't, how relevant can you be?
Yeah. But with Refill, we've been working hard. We finished fundraising round a few months ago. We've been hiring. I guess we'll stop talking soon. But we're just trying to continue growing out the company throughout the world and adding lightning services.
All right, very cool. All right, Giacomo is getting ready to come on. Wish I could have gotten you for longer, but thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, man. All right, guys, I got 30 seconds to look at the price. Let's see what's going on. Nothing's changed really, so it doesn't really matter.
All right, our next presentation is just.
All right, because I want to listen to Giacomo, so we got about a minute.
We've got 4 chairs, but only one. Giacomo Zucco.
All right, guys, weekly chart, kind of stuck in the middle of nowhere. Need to see where it closes. Daily chart, still under the 200-day moving average. And bullish candle. Let's see how this candle closes. But I am leaning bearish on the daily. I am leaning bearish on the weekly. Totally neutral on the 12-hour. And totally neutral on the 4-hour. That's it. That's it for me. S&P, I believe, did well on, pulled back quite a bit. I'll think about it over the weekend. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll gonna go listen to Giacomo. Catch the live stream. Find it on my Twitter. Bye, guys.